This incident happened when I was around 15 years old. I was always the shy kid in my home. My other two siblings were a lot more extroverted in comparison to me, but I was very introverted and talked very little. There was one time when I was walking down the street back from school quietly when I noticed a black car was standing not too far from me. Its headlights were flashing too much, and I wondered why its headlights were flashing so brightly in the day. As I walked past the car, the window of the car slightly opened, and a man in his mid-20s looked towards me from inside the car and gestured for me to come towards him. I was already on my guard and decided to go towards him to see what happened, but I stood a few meters away from his car. The moment I reached his car, he took out a paper from his coat pocket and handed it to me, asking me the direction of the address written on the paper. I looked at the paper. It was the address of an old couple who lives not too far away from our home street. I told him the way. He didn't thank me. He just looked at my face and nodded before sliding his window up and driving off. But what was confusing for me was that he drove the opposite direction. He didn't drive towards the way I told him to. I found it weird and moved on, continuing with my business. And then, after a few days, I saw the same man again, but this time he was standing outside my school gate. I was shocked, and the moment he saw me, he looked at my face, nodded at me, and gestured for me to come towards him. I was startled and suspicious at this point, even though this man was in his mid-20s, so he was good-looking rather than looking like a creepy human for anyone to notice, but still, somehow the way this man showed up in front of me gave me goosebumps. As I pretended not to notice him and walked past him, he surprisingly started following me and called after me. I looked back at him. He again handed me a paper, but this time it was a different address. Now I hesitate telling him anything. Last time I thought he was some relative of that old couple, but this time a new address? And out of all the people in the world, why would he ask the directions from me? He showed up at my school just to ask me that? I was on my guard and was thinking very cautiously while dealing with this man. I helped him last time, thinking as a stranger who needed help, but who knows what his identity is and what he is up to. Regardless, I told him the direction just to get rid of him, and after taking the information, he looked at my face, nodded at me, got in his car, and drove off. For many days, I was thinking about this man and how weird he was. I didn't want to encounter this man again, but encounter him once again as I came out of the cafe that day. I looked at him. He was in much different clothes this time. The last two times was all black that he wore. Now, he wore very light color clothes, completely opposite from last time. His eyes suddenly fell on me and he didn't react, just kept on looking in my direction very seriously. I was terrified and began walking fast. I walked past him, and when I looked back, he was following me. I started to run at this point, and when I reached the empty street, suddenly a loud thud sound was heard from behind me. I looked back. That man was grabbing another man very harshly, and he suddenly ran after him very fast, and then both men were out of my view, gone in the next second. I was very afraid and ran to my house. I told my mother about it and she consoled me. This incident was very deep for me, because of which I missed a few days of school out of terror. I was very terrified of running into that man again, and just when I was thinking of never meeting him again, he again showed up. But this time, I was shocked when I saw him on TV. He was a police officer. I was shocked, as my father, who was sitting beside us watching TV, told us that this man is a police officer currently undercover to investigate a missing 16-year-old girl case in our town. I was shocked. The news channel was applauding the officer who caught the criminal that was responsible for kidnapping the 16-year-old victim my father just talked about. An interview on TV was showing that man, who now turned out to be the police officer, in which he told how he caught the criminal when the criminal was preying on another 15-year-old girl. He told how he came to know about this and followed the 15-year-old. He used to stop the 15-year-old just to get her attention. He watched how the kidnapper would also stop in the corner. He was able to clearly detect the kidnapper's face and caught him at the right time. He led the kidnapper to take him to his house address, where the kidnapper had abducted 3 girls who are now safely rescued. The interview ended and I couldn't believe it. sitting in my place, unable to process all of the information. So I was the 15-year-old he's talking about. He was an undercover police officer who was actually saving me from getting kidnapped. I was recovering from the shock when his voice again sounded from the TV, in which he says he is thankful for the 15-year-old girl who helped him. He also added, "Thank you for telling me the direction I already knew, because of which I was able to reach the right address I wanted to reach." He then looked at the camera, smiled this time, and nodded. I am a 24-year-old girl now, and I still think about this incident a lot.